What is going on, guys? Welcome to Party on Broad. Our Sixers draft always continues. And to help me break it down, I've got my man Tiago on Twitter at TiagoPHL. Happy Sunday, Tiago. What's up, man?
What's up, man? We're doing great here. It's going to be a fun couple of breakdowns, man. These guys coming up, Tari Eason, and we got some other guys. They're a fun group to watch, man. They are explosive players, no question.
Yeah, today we are breaking down, hands down, arguably, if not my favorite Sixers draft target so far. He is Tari Eason, 6'8", 7'2" wingspan. We're talking his pros, his cons, and his fit with the Philadelphia 76ers. Let's just jump right in, man. Tiago, what are some of the pros of Tari Eason's game?
Yeah, so I found a stat about Tari that I thought speaks to the player that Tari Eason is. So over the last 15 years, there's only been 4 other underclassmen that have averaged 3.3% plus steal rate and a 25% plus usage rate. Now, look at these names. So it's Paul George, Zion Williamson, and Tyreke Evans. So that is a massive list of big-time NBA players that Tari joined this last season at LSU. You ask what his strengths are. I mean, it's defense, man. It is defense. This guy is overwhelming on the perimeter. His size can be too much for perimeter attackers to handle. He's got positional versatility 1, 2, 3 in the perimeter very easily. You can switch across those positions very well. There's a lot to like there, man. I kind of comp him to a guy that came out this year called Herb Jones that just kind of exploded into the scene for the Pelicans. And if you watch the NBA very closely, this was a late second-round pick that really just immediately became an immediate starter for the Pelicans, man. And he was a bona fide All-NBA defender from the get-go. I think Tari Eason fits the same mold, man. I think he's got that long reach, strong hands, quick reflexes. He can really cover spaces like around the rim, so it's like a weak side rim protector. You know, he can explode to the rim and kind of create chaos that way. So I think when you ask about strengths right off the bat, it's that defense versatility, and there's comps already in the league for him. And there's also a track record, like we talked about those stats at the beginning of the podcast, of him potentially being a big-time impact defender at the next level.
Yeah. Real quick before I get into some comments, my pros are defensive potential. That just screams off the tape. He's extremely skilled at defense. He's smart. He does a really good job providing help defense. There are times when his defender would blow by him, and he's got that kind of recoverability to kind of block shots, deter shots. I think this is a guy who's going to have no problem defending on or off the ball at the next level, getting into passing lanes, getting deflections, altering shots at the rim. And I think offensive workload for me when it comes to Tari Eason is I think he's going to have a serviceable three-point shot, unlike Matisse Thybulle. I think it's going to translate. But this is a guy just like Matisse Thybulle. He's going to be best as an off-ball cutter. I see this guy. He's kind of showed some flashes, Tiago. I'm kind of interested in your thoughts in terms of shot creation because there's some times when he showed that he can be kind of an impact guy off the dribble a little bit. His handle kind of had some flashes a little bit. But yeah, transition is where this guy is absolutely dominant.
So a couple of points on that, Chris, because you mentioned it. So as a roll man, he averaged 1.15 points per possession. And it's that lane size, athleticism at the rim. Imagine him running pick and roll with a guy like James Harden. This guy's going to feast on buckets at the rim, man. As a cutter, 1.18 points per cut. So again, very, very high impact, very, very high output in those areas. He's got a subtle dribble, like very advanced for a guy his height, his size, with his handle. He makes active live reads as a passer off the dribble. So to your point, there's some shot creation elements to his game. He's a much more advanced ball handler than Matisse Thybulle ever will be. I mean, there's not even a comp there. So, yeah, I mean, if we're the Sixers to get him, I could definitely see Matisse Thybulle being immediately expendable would they choose to go that route. Absolutely.
Yeah. We have some comments in here. We've got Philly Sport. Oh, wait, that's not it. Peter Thurman saying, what's good, guys? What's going on, Peter? Thanks for joining. D says, when is the NBA draft? June 23rd. That is 11 days from now, man. Peter says, ready for the draft. I cannot wait. I enjoy all the stuff you guys put out. Thank you. We've got Mitch in the house. What's going on, Mitch? Please be sure to subscribe to Mitch's YouTube channel. Do you think the Sixers draft him? Will Doc play him? That is the eternal question.
Will Doc play him? Absolutely not. Can the Sixers draft him? There's a lot of buzz about him being like a lottery pick.
Yeah.
But there's also some stuff coming out about how he has not tested well at interviews. Some teams are down on him on the interview process. Yeah. I think that's like smoke screen. I think these are teams trying to kind of throw fire out there to get him to drop in their laps.
Yeah.
I don't see this guy lasting past 15, man. If he does, I will be very, very excited to see him potentially.
Yeah. When we're watching the NBA draft, like this is the guy that like if he falls and he gets taken like last year, a guy that I wanted like right before the Sixers pick, I'm going to be devastated. I'm going to be completely devastated. This is one of those guys. We have Steven in the house saying trade Doc Rivers for a future second. Where do I sign? But let's jump right into cons. For me, you talk about turnovers. There's a guy who commits over double the turnovers as he does passes, 2.2 turnovers per game. That ain't good. And I think part of like the negatives coming out is kind of his instincts. That may be in question. Turns over the ball on 13.5% of plays he's involved in. He tends to be over aggressive. But I don't really like, for me, and we'll talk about this when we get to Nikola Jovic. Like that's like he's going to be an off-ball guy. Like I don't expect that much on-ball when it comes to Tari Eason. So like that's like those concerns are minimalized for me. What about you, Thiago?
Yeah, I agree with that. But he also makes some sloppy reads, even like off the ball. They're just some stuff you're like, all right, man, just don't throw that pass. That's just necessary. I'm not as high on him as a shooter because I do think there's a lot more mechanical stuff at play. He's very upright. He's very stiff. Shots low. You can tell. I mean, he's going to have a tough time getting the shot off at the NBA. I mean, he's not comfortable off the catch. That's not to say that he cannot develop into off the catch shooter, but it's not comfortable. He hesitates. In the NBA, he's going to have more space to work with, but also the speed of the game is much faster. So that's going to be an issue. And as a playmaker, he just doesn't go left ever. So teams are going to like put that on the scouting report, and they're gonna. So my dogs are freaked out right now. There's like ambulance in my house. She's going crazy. Yeah, so teams are gonna put that on the scouting report, and they're gonna be like, "Hey, we're gonna force you right. So I'm more concerned about the mechanical shooting element because I think that's his play in the NBA. He gets that figured out. He's a bona fide 3-and-D player and potentially even a star in the NBA level.
Yeah, and low volume shooter, and he's a streaky shooter. 0.8 3-point shots made per game. You want to see that number go up, but like you said, man, if that shot translates and becomes a reliable weapon, man, it's going to be arguably one of the best prospects in this draft. I think like the guy's tape, like we'll get into fit with the Sixers, but like you watch his tape and you're like, how in the hell is this guy not a top 10 pick? How? Like that's how good this guy looks at times. But he's very divisive. And let's go into fit with the Sixers. How would you grade it out of 10? And do you like the fit?
I love the fit in a variety of different ways, in transition, in the pick and roll, defending size. I mean, we always talk about this all the time, is who the Sixers have to guard moving forward in their conference, right? It's Kevin Durant, it's Jason Tatum, it's Jaylen Brown. These guys are big, man. You need bigger size defenders defending them. They have Ben Simmons. He's no longer there, obviously. So I like the fit from all those standpoints. I give it like a good 9.0. But yeah, the shot thing is again, that's the swing skill, obviously. And I'm not 100% sure it's going to come around. We'll see.
Gilligan's in the house. If we can't throw Joel a proper entry pass, we don't need him. We're going to Yeah, and we're going to cover a guy in Dalen Terry right after this as well, and we'll be talking about that. But for me, it's a 10. an absolute 10. 6'8" wing, guy that can defend multiple positions, perimeter post. He's got length. He can potentially shoot. But for me, this is a 10. My only other 10 I've given so far on these draft scouting reports is Jake LaRavia. And it's him and Jake LaRavia as my 1A, 1B right now. And I love both of these guys.
And Eason is a much more athletic player. I mean, Eason is an NBA level athlete. LaRavia, there's a little bit of question marks around his athleticism. His offensive game is much more polished. So it's a matter of like what you prioritize at 23. Were they both available?
Yeah, and I agree, man. Like off the tape, like he looks great, but when you deep dive a little bit closer, there are definitely some concerns. You know, like we are very, very too familiar with non-shooters within Doc Rivers' half-court offense, man. Like when you think of like Thibault, like and how unplayable he was at times last year because of it, like will Tari Eason cause spacing issues with Joel Embiid? I think that is a definite concern. I think that you can't just simply ignore that. But I'm buying the stock. I'm buying the idea that the shot will translate. I think he has some upside as a scorer as well. For me, I'm going all in, 10 out of 10 for Tari Eason. Any final thoughts on Tari Eason before we wrap it up and move on to Dalen Terry?
Just, man, I mean, if they get a chance to draft this guy, this could be one of those guys that it could be like follow that maxi level of like, oh, God, this guy just exploded onto the scene, right? So there's a lot to work there with the Tari Eason, and I think that if he's there at 23, it's hard to say no. I mean, it's just hard to say no. Even with the negatives, it's very hard to say no.
Yeah, I'm all in on Tari Eason, obviously. Guys, if you love the NBA draft or the Sixers, give this video a like and check out all of our other NBA draft content for the Sixers at the channel, man. Tons and tons of stuff there. Video scouting reports, you name it, highlight reels. And it'll continue until the draft is in about a couple of weeks, 11 days from now. Follow my man, Tiago, on Twitter at TiagoPHL. Last, of course, we got to hit some comments real quick. Steven says, give me Otto Porter for the bench. I love Otto Porter, man. That would be absolutely awesome. But my guess is we need a high floor guy, not a high ceiling dude. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty obvious. Well, we thought that last year, and they took Jaden freaking Springer.
So here's the thing. Like, I get the comment, and I definitely be part of that comment. But if the Sixers fall flat on the James Harden trade, which, to be honest, is kind of trending that way, at least right now, you got to have a pivot somehow. And Otto Porter is like a play for now. And I get it. You're trying to win a championship now. You're going on in. But Eason could be that play in the future. I mean, he could be that guy who kind of is able to pivot because he can potentially turn into like a starter at the next level. So
definitely.
I'm not like saying, oh, just trade the pick and go for win now guys, because I do think there's value in going after some of these rookies that have high potential, man. Like Eason is a high potential dude. There's no question about it.
Yep. Yep. Sign Bo Cruz. I think that's from the Hustle movie, if I'm mistaken. I haven't seen it yet. Have you seen Hustle yet, Tiago?
I have not. I want to watch it tonight. Well, tonight's an NBA game, but maybe sometime this week.
Yeah. Sean says length and athleticism are key, along with skill for sure. He's top 5 on my list. I fully agree, Sean. Absolutely fully agree. And Mitch says, I want them to trade the pick with Tobias to get rid of his contract. That's more likely.
I do not agree with that. This is not being a business attaching first-round picks to get out Tobias Harris' contract. He's first of all, he's a very good player. I don't agree with that.
Like, I love a lot of these fits in this back end of round 1, top of round 2 area for the Sixers, man. We've covered these guys. There's a handful of very good fits for the Sixers. Very good fits. The Sixers, they need depth. They need wings. They need shooting. And there's a bunch of guys that we've been covering. Stay tuned, guys, because I think there's some really good fits. I actually thought of the idea of trading back, like with the Thunder, maybe 23 for 30 and 34, and add some of these guys like Justin Lewis.
Yeah, Wendell Moore on the chat. He's another guy. Yeah.
What's that?
And Wendell Moore on the chat.
Wendell Moore we covered him, Gilligan. Wendell Moore is a beast, man. Really, really like him as well. Steven says Hustle is an 8.5 out of 10 on in his. I gotta watch it. Guys, we're gonna jump out for the sake of time. We're gonna jump right into Dalen Terry. And if you haven't heard of Dalen Terry, You will in a few minutes because he is one of the top prospects for the Sixers, hands down. He is really, really fun. So we're going to end this show. We're going to jump into Dale and Terry. Follow my man Tiago on Twitter at TiagoPHL. I am Dives, Mr. Crockpot. Stay awesome, everyone.